あの悔しい声は今も私の耳に残っています。あなたたちにこんな車作りはできないだろう。この悔しさは間違いなく今も私の原動力です。
This is the all-new Toyota GR GT, and the only way to understand this car is to understand the pain that built it. Because this isn't just another fast Toyota, it isn't a marketing exercise or a nostalgia project or a recycled Lexus in a new suit. This is the biggest risk Toyota has taken since their last car that broke the internet, the LFA. The GR GT exists because one man, Akio Toyoda, refused to accept that Toyota should be ordinary. He refused to accept that Toyota should be safe. He refused to accept the humiliation that defined the company for decades. The GR GT exists because Toyota decided to relearn how to build a supercar from scratch again. And when you dig into the details, the philosophy, the engineering, the racing connection, you'll probably never look at Toyota the same way again. Because the GR GT is the perfect bridge between the world we're losing, the old school tactile flawed but beautiful V8 pass, and the world we're stepping into. Carbon composites, hybrid torque fill, and the news of an all-new, all-electric Lexus LFA on the horizon. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. First, you need the facts. Let's start with the headlines that everyone's already arguing about. Underneath that insanely long hood is an all-new 4-liter twin-turbo V8. It's a hot V layout, dry sump, D4S direct import injection like a lot of Toyota cars, but this isn't a reworked Lexus LC500 block. This is a Motorsports engine designed clean sheet for this car. Then Toyota paired it with a single electric motor buried inside the rear transaxle. But don't get it twisted, this isn't a Prius-style hybrid, this isn't about saving fuel. This electric motor exists to do exactly two things: make throttle response feel instantaneous with electric torque, and make more jam alongside the twin-turbo 4-liter V8. Toyota's development targets for total jam say at least 650 PS, that's about 641 horsepower, and at least 850 newton meters of torque, or 627 pound-feet in freedom units. And they made sure to emphasize those numbers with "or more." Now, all of this power goes to just 2 wheels, the rear ones, no heavy all-wheel drive, no front electric motors. Just a front mid-mounted V8 pushing torque through a carbon fiber torque tube to an all-new 8-speed automatic with a wet multi-plate clutch. What is an automatic with a wet clutch? Well, it's not a dual clutch like a Porsche PDK, and it's not exactly a traditional automatic like the ZF 8HP that's in every single BMW. It's more similar to a system like Mercedes SpeedShift MCT, one that blends torque converter automatic smoothness with the direct fast shifts of a dual clutch transmission. And all of that is paired to a mechanical LSD. It's an interesting mix of old school and new school technologies. And by the way, that V8 engine is pushed so far behind the front axle that honestly, you might not need seat heaters because you'll have twin turbos between your legs. And that packaging is deliberate because the hybrid motor, the transmission, the fuel tank, the battery pack were all shoved rearward and downward to create a 45-55 weight distribution. Yes, a front-engined car that has a rear weight bias. It doesn't happen very often. Now, as for the actual curb weight, 1,750 kilograms or less. That's about 3,850 pounds. Not exactly a GR86, but only a few hundred pounds more than the new hybrid Porsche 911 GTS, and it's nearly 1,000 pounds less than the Mercedes-AMG GT E-Performance, another one of its hybrid competitors. Top speed is quoted at 199 miles per hour or higher, which, let's be real, Toyota left enough headroom for a 200 mile per hour headline later, and 0 to 60, no official number yet. But with this layout and this power and Michelin Cup 2s, low 3s are sitting right there if Toyota wants it. In summary, it's gonna be fast. Now, as for the exterior, the GR GT looks aggressive. Sharp lines, huge vents. It wasn't designed to be pretty, It was designed to obey physics. Toyota openly says the styling came after the aerodynamic ideals. Engineers sculpted the flow first, then designers were told, okay, make this look like a Toyota. The result is a car that feels like it escaped from the paddock and then stole somebody's license plates. The insanely long hood, the massive rear haunches, the race car stance and fitment. And under that carbon fiber and aluminum skin is Toyota's first all-aluminum space frame with huge cast nodes and structural extrusions. On top, it's carbon fiber reinforced polymer for the hood, roof, and major aero surfaces, the same carbon process created during the LFA's development. Then aluminum for the doors and fenders, so you don't need a second mortgage to repair a door ding. And overall, it's enormous and tiny at the same time. It's longer and wider than a Porsche 911. It's as low as a Lamborghini Murcielago. And overall, it's fairly similar in size to the Mercedes AMG GT, a car that will be closely compared in many aspects to this one. The massive intakes feed radiators for cooling the various systems, NACA ducts are there to extract heat, and the diffuser looks like it was straight up stolen off of the GT3 car, which it kind of was. Even the headlight DRLs are a nod to the GR010 hypercar. And this is where my emotional thread comes back. The GR-GT looks serious because Toyota is serious. This isn't a company making a halo car for brand prestige, it's a company trying to pass down a craft, a culture built by embarrassment, failure, and the need to look ahead. Now let me explain that. To understand the GR-GT, you kind of have to understand where Toyota is right now. Because Toyota today is two companies living in the same body. On one side, you have the Toyota that everyone knows, its hybrids, its crossovers, its cautious electrification, the sensible lineup that keeps the world moving. And on the other side, you have Gazoo Racing, the slightly unhinged department that builds the GR Yaris, GR86, GR Corolla, and Supra, the team that won Le Mans, the team that lives on the rear wings of Haas Formula One cars, and frankly, the team that is burning through Toyota's development budget faster than the accountants can keep up. The GR-GT is the collision point of those two worlds. Toyota calls it the spiritual successor to the 2000 GT and the LFA, not because it copies them, but because it exists for the same reason. Not to make money, but to be the intersection of driver enjoyment and the very cutting edge of the automotive industry. It's something that Akio called their secret sauce. The reason why Toyota sports cars, despite rarely ever being the best objectively, are always loved by so many drivers regardless of the spec sheets. And that secret sauce comes from an unlikely place: humiliation. Now, before I can get to Toyota's humiliation, let me start with a little humility myself. I don't have the dough to afford a supercar like the GR-GT. Heck, I don't even have the dough for the official remote-controlled GR Yaris. So I've been trying to earn more cash back on the things that I buy every day, like gas and groceries. And that's why I started using the free Upside app. Upside is a tool that helps me spend smarter. They have offers at over 100,000 gas stations, grocery stores, and restaurants across the US. It's super easy to use too. I just open the app, find an offer, claim it, and then pay as usual with my card. Like right now, I'm about to earn 12 cents a gallon on gas and 36% cash back on some delicious shawarma for lunch. And the best part is, it's cash back. No silly points or credits, actual money that you can transfer straight to your bank account or choose from a few popular gift cards. Upside has given back over $1 billion to its users. To find out how much you could earn, click the link in the description and use code ALBON to get an extra 25 cents back on every gallon of your first tank of gas. Or scan this QR code to get the same offer. Thanks to Upside, I might finally be able to get the GR car of my dreams, or at least the remote control version of it. But now, let's get back to Toyota.
やっと LFA ができた時、成瀬さんは見たこともない笑顔で前だけを見て ニュルを走れたのは初めてだ。
This is one of the most important lines ever spoken in Toyota's history. Just looking ahead. Because until the LFA, Toyota test drivers weren't looking forward at the Nürburgring, they were checking their mirrors, constantly being overtaken by prototypes from other brands. The LFA, when it was developed, was the first car that let Toyota look forward. The first car in a long time that made them feel like they belonged at the sports car table, but even then, the pain didn't go away. The LFA won its class in their chosen battleground of the Nürburgring 24 hours, but they never won overall. When Akio and the GR team took the 2010 SP8 class win in their LFA, the overall winner was none other than BMW Motorsport. Yes, the BMW factory team, and they weren't in some prototype spaceship, they were in a souped up E92 M3. And this is the dirt in which the seeds of the GRGT grew from. Not nostalgia, not ego, not a marketing opportunity, but humiliation and the obsession to take that feeling and channel it towards building something that was bigger and better and faster than the last thing. The obsession to finally be able to say that they made the fastest car on the green hell. And that's why the GRGT, despite being a road car, didn't start life as a road car. It began as a GT3 race car. Like you know, most supercars start as road cars and then the race versions come later. Stripped out and hotted up versions of a car that was designed first and foremost to be safe and comfy and fast on the road. Toyota took that formula and flipped it upside down. The GRGT wasn't born in a design studio, it wasn't cooked up by a marketing department. The GRGT and the GRGT3 next to it were co-developed from day one. They have the same aluminum space frame, the same front mid V8 layout, the same suspension hardpoints, the same aerodynamic priorities, the same cooling requirements even, and most importantly, the same intent to be the top dog. This is a race car made street legal enough that Toyota can sell it to human beings, which is kind of a rare thing in 2025. Motorsports DNA oftentimes means we put a stripe on it. Now, of course, there's obvious exceptions like the Mustang GTD and the 911 GT3, but even still, for Toyota, Motorsports isn't about branding, it's therapy. It's where they learn their humility, where they can push themselves to build things that they never thought possible before. And it's this constant common thread that you'll see in so many of our videos. The brands that hold dear to motorsports have always been the ones that stay true to their enthusiast ethos. The ones that have always had the most loyal of fans and customers through their triumphs and their mistakes, and through the pains of an evolving world that many people aren't willing to leave behind. And frankly, that world has changed a lot. We're living in a time where most brands are running away from large engines. They're downsizing, electrifying. They're preparing their customers for a world where sound, vibration, gear changes, all of it, are replaced with the eerie hum of fake sounds and electric propulsion. And in the middle of this transition, Toyota built a clean sheet 4-liter V8 designed for racing, then adapted for the road. And they paired it to a hybrid system that does the exact opposite of what most Toyota hybrid systems normally do. It exists purely to make the V8 feel more responsive, more immediate, and more alive. And here's a little fun fact. This might be one of the last new V8s the world will ever see from a major manufacturer. And Toyota built it not to be practical, but to be emotional. Just like how the LFA's V10 wasn't practical. It was $1 billion money shredder that went into just 500 cars, but it was also the beautiful sound of Toyota proving something to themselves and to the world. This hybrid V8 is the same idea expressed in a different era, because even when the rules and regulations change over time, the souls of the cars that manufacturers make shouldn't. And that soul starts with the people who make the cars. Akio Toyoda is not just a CEO or president or chairman of the board, he's Morizo, the master driver trained by the legendary Hiromu Naruse. He's the bridge between Toyota's past, present, and future, and he knows he won't be here forever. Akio has admitted that at nearly 70 years old, he's getting old. And everything he's built at Toyota, Gazoo Racing, not just as a brand, but as a culture, is meant to outlive him. And that's why the GR-GT feels different from other supercars. Ferrari builds cars to sell an image. Lamborghini builds cars to turn heads. McLaren builds cars to chase numbers. But Toyota built this car to protect its engineers, to give them a playground, a challenge, a canvas. Akio Toyoda, Koji Sato, and the rest of the OGs at Toyota have been slowly but surely ensuring that the new employees coming through the doors at Toyota are proper car enthusiasts. People who understand what it takes to have to fight the bean counters to make a car that values the car and driver connection over everything else. And it's projects like the GR86, GR Yaris, and Corolla that are their training grounds to learn how to build a car that can put a smile on a driver's face. Projects that can give them the same feeling that Akio shared with Naruse-san. The feeling of looking ahead, not in the mirror. This GR-GT is not about legacy, it's about inheritance. Akio knows this is his final era, and frankly, that kind of breaks my heart. He revived the soul of a brand that I have spent my entire life being a devotee of. Ever since the first time my brother pulled a Supra into the driveway, from the first time I drove my first car, a 1999 Toyota Avalon. But even after Akio's retired and sipping umeshu tonics on a beach in Okinawa, I'm still hopeful. Hopeful that the next generation at Toyota, the people building the hydrogen engines, the newest rally monsters, GT3 race cars, or whatever comes after electricity, will have inherited not just the tools, but the humility that made Toyota a true enthusiast brand. But, and this is a big but, being an enthusiast brand means making cars that enthusiasts can actually buy. And despite the LFA being my favorite car ever, that car lives only in my fantasy lands with its current $1 million price tag. So where does the GR-GT live? Well, on paper, its numbers drop it into the middle of a very serious neighborhood. The Mercedes AMG GT, the Porsche 911 Turbo and GTS, the McLaren Artura, the Corvette E-Ray, and maybe even the upcoming ZR1, and honestly, from a spec perspective, even Ferrari's mid-range 296 GTB. And some publications are guessing $400,000 to $500,000 for the MSRP. A true halo car built in tiny numbers through Lexus dealerships, and well, I think they're completely wrong. If they were going to make this a Lexus, then they already would have taken advantage of the branding. That thing would have L's and F's all over it. Those are badges, not in chat, please. But Toyota doubled down on the GR branding. They gave the car the same nose as the Prius, for Pete's sake. And that almost certainly means that this will be a Toyota. A halo product for GR, yes, but not the moonshot LFA with the $500,000 or more price tag. And well, the Mercedes AMG GT63 costs about $180,000, with the GT63E performance being a hair over $200,000. The Porsche 911 GTS is $175K, and the Corvette E-Ray is the cheapest by far at $110,000. And those three cars might be the closest market competitors for the GR-GT. The McLaren and the Ferrari are both well north of $250,000 and just seem like an unrealistic competitor for the Toyota. But also, granted, Toyota isn't exactly known for pricing their cars at the bottom of the market either. So who knows? Realistically though, this type of car using this type of technology and not necessarily being limited production will likely land right in the range with the 911 and the AMG, right around $200,000. It's a lot of money, not the kind of money that mere mortals like me have. My only shot at sitting in one, let alone driving one, is if Toyota takes pity on us and gives us a press car one day. I'm sorry, what? This one? This one behind me? Yeah, I photoshopped that. This whole thing is a green screen. But there's a chance, a very slim chance, that maybe it'll be more Chevy than Porsche, and it'll be priced closer to $100K instead of $200. You know, something that me and at least 5 other friends could try and split. The one thing I am pretty confident of is that it isn't going to be the $500,000 super halo car that some people are making it out to be. And the biggest tell for it being not a halo car is the fact that right next to it was the announcement of the halo car, the Lexus LFA concept. Now, granted, this LFA concept was given with basically no specs, no real details, just a silhouette and a statement. It's gonna be electric. Now, before you pull out the pitchforks, hear me out. I too groan when I see some old and awesome car getting revealed as an electric shitbox, and at first glance, an electric LFA sounds strange. But only really if you misunderstood what the LFA was. The LFA wasn't designed for the purpose of being the best sounding car in the world. It just is. It wasn't designed for the purpose of having a 9,500 RPM rev limit. It just did. Its purpose from day one was to represent the absolute peak of what Toyota could do technologically at the time. That's why they threw away the aluminum chassis and rebuilt it in carbon fiber. That's why they spent nearly a decade refining the 1LR V10. It was Toyota aiming as high as possible and building something that no one expected from them. And if they're calling this new concept an LFA, then that means that Toyota believes that the peak of their engineering over the next decade potentially is electric. And when you look at what they've been developing in the labs, it makes sense. Solid state batteries, hydrogen fuel cell tech. They famously built an electric AE86 with a manual transmission, an experiment to try and bring some soul to the silence. And in that light, the GR-GT becomes the bridge, the last great combustion era lesson, a way to teach young engineers how to make a car feel alive before they build one with no cylinders at all. If the GR-GT is the final chapter of the old book, then an electric LFA is page 1 of the next one. I get it. When I hear EV LFA, it gives me an ick that I cannot describe to you. I don't know how they can pull it off, but look at their track record as of late. They've taken, frankly, a soulless brand back in the 2000s, one where the only recognizable car was a universally despised egg-shaped hybrid, and they've turned it into a brand with a lineup of sports cars from 30K to now 200 or 300K. They've made the latest Camrys and RAV4s so good that people fight for an allocation. Heck, even the Prius looks cool now. So, with this new LFA concept and the GR-GT, I say, let them cook. Because even though the spec sheets of the cars might raise some eyebrows, it's the philosophies that are now ingrained in the people that make the cars that give me confidence in their potential. I think we all just might be surprised with what Toyota cooks up. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, then you will love our deep dive into Akio Toyota right here. And if you love automotive deep dives, then you should subscribe to Albon so you don't miss the next vehicular philosophy lesson we come up with. I'll see you in the next one.